So Arman Sarukian just knocked out Beneil Dariush, and I think now that leads to what is next for the lightweight division. How do we make the lightweight division start getting a little bit more movement? I think it's kind of getting a little bit jammed up right now. It would have been nice if instead of Volkanovski having to come in short notice to fight Islam, I think it would have been nicer if Charles and Islam would have got that fight over with. I think that kind of starts off some of the lack of movement in the division. We're gonna have to wait and see if they're even gonna end up fighting. Nobody knows. Justin Gaethje's name is being thrown in there as well. Now Arman Sarukian's name is being thrown in there as well. Then we have Dustin, who kind of refuses at this point to fight anybody that's even just outside of the top five. I think there is a rumor that he is going to be fighting Rafael Fiziev that I have seen. Don't know how true that is. But if not, I think to make some movement up in that top five, you could have Dustin and Armin fight each other. I think that would be a good fight to put on. But I would like to show you this clip coming from the American Gangster himself, Chael Sonnen. He kind of briefed over something that is now making me kind of think that maybe this is the direction that we need to go in. Maybe this is the move that should be had. So I'll show you the clip and then I'll go over it afterwards.
And that's the same argument that people are using for Charles. Hey, Charles should get the rematch with Islam. Like, okay, everybody agrees he doesn't want it. So now, if we're going to force him out there, and that is what it is, if you don't offer him any other fight, if you tell him this is the only fight for you, otherwise your phone's not ready, you're forcing him into a fight that he doesn't want to do. Now you're talking about a cash grab. And if the belief by the fan is to argue out, no, there was something off in that first fight, his rib was out of place and he didn't say anything, but he let him go again. If you're using that argument, which I think you're insincere with, which is why you allowed the line to go from 3-1 to 4-1. You guys do that, not DraftKings. That same argument would go in the direction of Gaethje, but be much more favorable. Now,
And after hearing that, I've kind of let him convince me of what he's talking about right here. Is this fight with Charles even going to happen? In the past, I do think he is deserving, but in the past, he has had at times, some words to say where it doesn't seem like he was fully invested in that fight with Islam. Whether it's because he felt it was unfair that he was having to go to the Middle East or the date or whatever the case may be, there has always been a little bit of talk about this rematch coming from Charles that makes it seem like he's not fully invested in it. And if it's going to be easy for him to pull out of another fight, I think that might, again, it might hinder the division. It might slow it down, slow down the movement in the division. And I think right now, with some of the names that are coming into that top five, some of the names that are in that top five, and some that are just outside of it, I think that there needs to be more movement in this division. It doesn't help that, there's periods of time in the year too that Islam doesn't fight because he has, Ramadan going on and feels that he can't perform at his best, which understandable. But you already have that in the mix. You can't be adding these other pieces into the mix where the number one guy is pulling out in kind of the last second, or you're not too sure if he wants to fight. So I think I'm gonna lean kind of on the side of Chael on this one. Let's just give it to Justin Gaethje. Let's give him the fight. Let's see what happens. And Charles is even I seen the other day he posted something about him and Conor McGregor fighting for UFC 300. Okay, if Charles is okay with fighting someone else, give him that fight. If it's a Conor, I know that Chandler's supposed to be fighting him, but if Conor doesn't want to fight Chandler, then that's tough. That's tough for Chandler. He's gonna have to fight somebody else. I just think that there needs to be movement in the division. If people don't want to fight certain people and whatnot, okay, get out the way. Let some of these guys that are trying to get into that position of next next in line for the title, not making excuses, saying that they don't want to fight certain people, that they only want to fight certain people. I just think there needs to be some movement to be had in this division. Otherwise, it's going to cause some issues with certain fighters having to wait on the sideline for a year or whatever the case. Like, when is Gaethje gonna fight? Is he gonna wait a whole year until he can fight? Like, to me, that's just a little bit ridiculous. We need some movement in this division. What do you guys think? You guys think Chael has a good take? Do you think what I'm talking about is on point, or do you think everything's going just the way that it should and everything's all right?